Many of you met Claudia before. Claudia has been one of my main coaches, sort of my best female coach, and helped a lot with jiu-jitsu. She had little experience with jiu-jitsu, a 3-time world champion and 7-time national champion of Brazil, but 22 times local champion or something, or state champion, something like that.
13 times.
Only 13?
Yeah.
You got bored or what happened?
Just went for MMA
Oh.
instead. With
Just
some money, you know?
went to UFC and beat up some different girls instead. That makes sense. Some small men.
Yeah.
Beat up a few men. I don't know, Claudia's become like my favorite workout partner. We lift weights together all the time. She's stronger than a lot of you, actually. We do, I don't know, spend a lot of time thinking about money, talking about business, talking about fitness, doing the business, doing the MMA stuff. So we spend an awful lot of time together, and I think it's been pretty productive for both of us. But do you have any highlights or anything good happen in our adventures together?
Yeah, I think I think the main thing to share with the group is the growth and development. We've been working out, training together and doing business together for 2 years now, and things keep getting better. I see a lot of people talking about hitting a plateau and getting burned out, but I feel like when you know what you want and you build a plan and work towards that plan, being smart, you're gonna get there no matter what, right? And this is one of the things me and Derek do very well together, and I shared some of my business experiences and my ventures with you guys, and lately I've been more focused on the stock market, moving money from my real estate business to the stock market. Just hit $1 million in my brokerage account with Derek's help. So that was pretty fun because I had my money invested. I still have a lot of money invested in real estate, but I didn't have the courage and the belief and the knowledge to invest in the stock market. And with Derek's help, I got to do that. And it's way less stressful. Real estate is fun, but dealing with tenants, and I do a lot of short-term rentals, and it's very stressful. So I moved some money out of real estate to the stock market, hitting my money goal for this year. We halfway through the year. I'm past halfway what I'm aiming for the year. So, other than getting stronger, getting better in fighting, I'm hitting my business goals and my money goals, hanging out with this guy. So it's been pretty fun, and I bet you guys are, doing the same things, coming here and learning from him.
They always say nobody's more fun than me.
It's true.
True. What do you folks want to talk about today? What have you been thinking about overnight? We asked for 3 bullet points. What are the 3 bullet points that are going to help you get some money, help you monetize the things we've been talking about?
Derek, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing Claudia. I think it's so awesome to see you like every 3 months and see your way to become. I think the goal was to be the richest retired female UFC fighter ever, and how you do that together, how Derek helps you with that. And 21 months ago, I think that was the first time at the negotiations conference where you have been on stage together for the first time with Gilbert, I believe. And somebody talked about the first million. I think it was actually you, Claudia. When you made your first million, that was quite stressful in a sense that you didn't know what to do with it because you couldn't spend it. And I kind of have the same problem. I literally have less liquidity now than I have had as a student because I also really love the stock market, and every penny that I have in my normal bank cash account, I'm always thinking, okay, this is a waste just to have it there, spend it on stocks. How have you dealt with that situation when you kind of had like a good amount of money, like let's say 1, 2, 3 million or so, but you really couldn't spend it? Did you just wait for the next recession? Did you what did you do in terms of like living a good life, but also not taking too much out of the money for the next recession and the next opportunity to invest that money?
I mean, $1 million isn't what it used to be, is, you know, the unfortunate truth. So, you know, I had $1 million. I was in my late 20s, was 29. A few days after my 29th birthday, I realized that. And I felt stupid that I didn't work harder, because if I could have done it by 29, I could have done it by 28. And if I could have done that, I could have done it by 27 or maybe 25 or something like that. And realize I'm older than, you know, some people here. So for some of you that found $1 million earlier than that, then do some inflation adjustments, because you have to, because the time frame is so, inflation has been so crazy, and especially in recent years. But I didn't feel rich. I felt like I got shit to do. I was driving, when I was a millionaire, I had a 2004 Honda Accord. That's what I was driving. And when I finally sold that car, I have to think about the year, I had $4 or $5 million net worth, and I was still driving a 2004 Honda Accord. It had leather and sunroof and a V6, 240 horsepower. And I had other vehicles here and there too, but I didn't give a fuck about. You know, there was a girl that I was seeing at one time, and some other guy that was trying to hit on her was like making fun of the vehicle I was driving. So he had like a newer pickup truck that he's making payments on. And I had an old Honda. But she also, you know, she knew, she'd been around me, and she knew that, like, she's like laughing about it, that like this guy's making payments on a pickup truck, and, you know, trying to hit on her like, you know, I'm a bum or something. I mean, he's the bum. He's got to show up to his normal job and make payments on his pickup truck. So I didn't give a fuck about those sort of things. I didn't have a goal to have just $1 million. I was like, you know, that's like your child goal. When you're a child, you're like, you know, okay, I don't want to be like destitute poor. So, you know, go find $1 million. And then you got to go find, and before I had $1 million, I knew I needed, you know, 2, and then I needed 5, and then I needed 10, and then I needed 20 or more. And that's about all the confidence I had at that age, to think of like, well, for sure I can get 20-ish million. And I mean, you've seen some of this stuff, and we've talked about it, and you've seen it, and we went through the process together. But like, there were times in a few months I made $20 million, and like, that's pretty cool. And we'd go do it again. So, and yeah, that's not a place to like. You could have a little celebration. We could take time to have a little Moneyberg coin and celebrate your next $1 million. And then probably should go back to work and start finding another one. It's not going to pay for your life the way that you want it to. And there's times in history there's vast inflation. Argentina was really on a dire track until that Milei guy took over. He's talking about printing, you know, creating an official policy of like no new currency, just to, you know, no new money printing, just, you know, fixed amount of currency. And for the first time in forever, like, you know, food prices are stabilized. Like they calculate the inflation week over week there. And it's like the first week in years and years that they didn't have inflation in food. So, but, you know, they calculate the inflation week over week because it's so bad. It's bad here. So, yeah, no, I think people don't understand inflation. And inflation is a tax on dumb people. They don't understand. So they think, oh, I got a raise at work. All right, even if you got a 10% raise, which most people don't, they get a 3% or 2% or 6% raise or something. Even if you got a 10% raise, but shit costs 25% more, you're worse off. But a lot of people don't know that. You know, or they have a delusion of like, oh, the businesses, I got a raise, but businesses keep raising prices. The businesses keep raising prices, and the politicians will blame the businesses. Whenever there's inflation, the communist blames the business for raising the prices of goods, and the communist politician says, like, you know, we're gonna have a stern talk to these businesses. Like, They got to stop price gouging you guys. Well, the only people in the world that can cause inflation are the people that have control of the money supply. Do the businesses control the money printing? No, the government does. So the government has a 100% monopoly on inflation. No one can create inflation except the government that issues the currency. It's not possible. It's just math. It's not possible. So, you be very mindful of like whatever you think is, you're like, oh, if I just had a few $1,000,000 and you spend some years working on that, by the time you get it, it's not what it was when you started that goal. By the time you get it, it doesn't have the same purchasing power when you set the goal to go get it. And you're going to need some more. So whatever that number is that you think is a lot of money, you got to at least triple that, or there has to be a multiplier of at least 3 or 10 times that to think about what's going to happen in your lifetime yet, unless you plan on dying early. So unless you're extremely suicidal or otherwise expect to die early, you probably want 5 times more than you think you'll need, because that's just reality. That's what you're going to need with diminished purchasing power over time. Do you think the government's going to be more responsible or less responsible over decades to come? Look at a chart. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up yourselves, because it sounds so outrageous. But like 100 years ago, the Federal Reserve Bank, I think, is formed 1913. Let's go back just over 100 years. It's 111 years. I think it's 1913. They have the authorization to do this shit. And in 110 years, the dollar's devalued. It's lost about 98% of the purchasing power, which means if at that time, in post World War I, if you had $1 million, today you need 50 million to have the same purchasing power as 1 million back then. So you need 50 million to have the same purchasing power as 1 million, at 1913, 1920 era. Go look that up. Don't take my word for it. It sounds too much. Like, even sounds ridiculous to me. Like, kind of unbelievable. Just look it up yourselves. Easy Google search. You can still find that. And by the way, in a few years, when you do a search for something like that on Google, they'll suppress the truth. On these main search engines, they're going to suppress that over time. You're not going to be able to find that type of information on the internet anymore because it's not favorable. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it more already. But I think you'd anticipate more of that over time. They don't want people to be informed of reality. They want people to be informed of whatever fake narrative is being pushed at the time. But at the moment, you can still see that. And you see it in housing prices. You see it in family stories where your parents or your grandparents say, when I was your age, you could buy a sandwich for a nickel. My grandparents would say stuff like that. Oh, I used to go to the restaurant and buy a big burger or a pork tenderloin for a nickel. And now that's like $7. You guys order a cheeseburger on room service, it's like $27 for a cheeseburger. It's an okay cheeseburger, it's pretty good. $27 for a cheeseburger and fries. So, earlier in life, it wasn't that way. So be mindful of that. Like, fine, you got $1 million, that's nice, that's really cool. It's like, it's like a little stepping stone in life. Like, you're a baby and you stop shitting yourself. That's cool. It's going to be easier to make friends as an adult that way. So, easier to have a nice girlfriend if you don't shit your pants much. So that's cool. You learned how to talk some. That's nice, sweet. You were persistent. You figured out how to walk. What if the first time you tried to walk, you fell down? You'd be like, oh, guess it's not for me. Guess this walking stuff is not for me. Seems kind of tough. Not sure if I want to make the effort. But, just think of that as a milestone. It's like, oh, I stopped shitting myself. Sweet. Learned how to walk. Can tie a shoelace. Most people can. Some PhDs I don't think can tie a shoe, but most normal people can. Found your first $1 million. Those are nice stepping stones. Like, learned how to drive and stuff. Driving's kind of cool. So think of that as a stepping stone. But if you think $1 million is going to buy it, like, I just bought a nice car for about that. It's a nice car. You've been in the car. It's a nice car, but it's a car. It's a very nice car. But it's a car. You can buy a really nice car for $1 million. That's what $1 million, you can buy a really nice parking spot in Hong Kong. You can't buy couldn't buy this suite. Couldn't buy this. Couldn't buy, in New York or something, you'd be in a bad neighborhood, whatever you could buy with $1 million in Manhattan. Can you live in a nice place in Manhattan for $1 million? So I just think that's cool. Like you got your little blue belt in jiu-jitsu. That's cool. That's nice. $1 million. That's nice. But then now do the next thing. Do the next thing, And you guys aren't going to want to hear it, but you probably need, even if you want okay life, you probably need to find 20 million or so to have okay freedom. I think right now for 10 million, you could have a good amount of freedom for 10 million. You can't buy $1 million car. You can't buy a $1 million car if you only got 10 million. But you could have a nice house. You could have some money in investments that pay you, a few $100,000 a year. You could live pretty comfortably for 10 million without having to work. You don't have to work. You just live off of your investments. That's nice. But if you want to be, really have, grand luxuries, beyond just not having to work. If you want to have a luxurious lifestyle, you probably should get closer to 100 million. And over time, that's not going to be the same as what, in 40 years, do you think that's going to have the same type of purchasing power? No. In 40 years, you're going to be back to that $10 million lifestyle with your $100 million. So I think that's a number to think about. It's some people here aren't going to want to hear that. They'll be, I just want $1 million and that's it. All right. Just want to shit your pants once in a while as an adult.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.